Welcome back. Listen to the sponsors. I hope you frequent them. That's why they're sponsoring the show. We want you to go, if you need their help, to call them and use them. Now, remember that we also have the Trust Radio Network. And this week on the Trust Radio Network, or next week, next Saturday, it airs Saturday at 10 o'clock, we're going to have Tracy Kahn from Joe Cotton Ford. And so he's a trusted professional. He's going to tell us a lot about the company. You're going to find out why he's a trusted professional.
That's next week.
That's next week, next Saturday at 10 o'clock on the Trust Radio Network. On this show, though, we're going to talk about, and again, that's so important. The sponsors that on this station, Joe Cotton Ford is a sponsor on this station. Tracy Kahn is a great guy, friend of mine.
Oh, what a great show we had.
And a great show, and you should join us next Saturday night at 10 o'clock. But let's do the next segment.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
I also wanted to say Happy St. Patrick's Day. There are certain days of the year that are so important to me and remind me so much of my brother. You know, that's when I miss him every day. I was going to say every day. I miss him every day. But some days are worse than others. And one of the days that I miss him most is...
I bet Jim misses him, too.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
No, I'll let him take the thunder on that.
Anyway,
Of course I miss him. What are you? This is my father.
The biggest day...
One
of the biggest days I miss him, though, is St. Patrick's Day. Because that man would cook so many corned beefs in every way you could imagine. And it was such a big day for him. We'd have everybody from the neighborhood come in, and we'd have corned beef for days and days and days afterwards. Potatoes Kilcannon, and the guy.
The potatoes Kilcannon's good.
Guy could cook. The guy could cook.
What's potatoes Kilcannon?
Potatoes Kilcannon is mashed potatoes with cabbage
with cabbage from the but you got to put the cabbage in
the potatoes got all cooked together.
What you got to do is it cooks in the corned beef water, so it has that fat. It has the fat
flavor.
It has a flavor in the fat.
So that was one of the days. That was one of his biggest days. He loved to cook so many. I mean, it had a big party. Jim was always a big party guy. Loved to have people over, and it's become a big tradition. And we still carry out that tradition and have a lot of corned beef. So we're going to do that again this year. But we wanted to, as you know, the blog segment is where I tell you what's going on in my office. And this week I had, and remember I mentioned this a lot on this segment, is that things seem to come in pairs, or you don't see it a lot, and then all of a sudden same people come, or you got the same problem. All of a sudden, I never heard of that problem, and now I see it 2 or 3 times.
It's kind of funny how that works.
It is funny how that works. Now I've seen this problem before, but I did get 2 calls this week and about liens and liens.
Oh, you talked about it on the show last night on the Trust Radio Network.
Trust Radio Network, where you were not. And
I wasn't there last week.
I know.
I know. I saw.
But what happens is, right, in both of these cases, what happened was they have a loan, and they're going to close they can't close because the title company or the mortgage company comes across a lien that they have against against the people.
The buyers or the
buyers?
Oh my god!
The buyers. Now it'll happen to the sellers too, because the sellers will have a lien, and then if you don't repair the lien, then when I buy the property, the IRS has a superior lien and could take my property from me. And we've talked about this before, because this has happened with clients.
This has happened to people.
Where people buy a property and they don't do a proper title search, and if it comes out that there's a lien on the property, and the IRS will take it from you and sell it. It was like, wait a minute, I just bought that. You can't do that. And they say, yes, we can. It's your job to do a due diligence. But in this case, these people have it with the Illinois Department of Revenue rather than the IRS. Same thing, same concept. Actually, it wasn't their lien. They didn't owe this money to the IRS.
Except
to the
one
Illinois
will break
Department
your
of Revenue.
legs, and the other will just pour concrete and drop you into Lake Michigan.
It'll feel that way. That's true. And one of the things, so now you got to try to deal with the Illinois Department of Revenue. And here's the thing: this was more than 10 years ago. So if this was an IRS problem, probably be resolved by now, because of
it should be
the statute, right? There's the CSED date, they call it, the collection statute expiration date,
which is 10 years.
Is 10 years for the IRS. But here's something that you might not know, Jim, that for the Illinois Department of Revenue, the statute is 20 years.
Really?
Yes.
So, and that just recently changed, didn't it?
No, it hasn't. It's always been 20 years.
I am wrong.
But it's always been 20 years. And so, again, if this was an IRS problem, it would have resolved itself. But it isn't an IRS problem.
So they're sitting there, no.
It's 20 years.
I gotcha.
And so you try to deal with the Illinois Department of Revenue. It's harder. I often tell people it's harder to deal with the Illinois Department of Revenue than it is the IRS. But isn't the IRS the biggest, baddest out there? Well, yeah, but the Illinois Department of Revenue is right up there, stacks right up there with them. And one thing about the IRS is that they have regulations in place that you can go to, and you can read the regulations and say, this is the way it's supposed to be done. The Illinois Department of Revenue has no such thing. I have done offers in compromise for with the Illinois Department of Revenue. We've done installment agreements, but they're not as flexible as the IRS is. For instance, and another thing that happens with the Illinois Department of Revenue is they send it very quickly to a third-party law firm as a collection company, and they add money on right away. They add 20%, I believe.
That's scary.
And then they start collecting, and then you try to work out a installment agreement with them. Very difficult to do. Again, you can do it, but it's not as set in. They don't have the process set like the IRS does. And again, with the IRS, they have these regulations, and they're bound by those regulations, right? I can appeal. I can bring them to court, and I say, listen, judge, look, this is what they say is the rules, and they're not following the rules. Again, the Illinois Department of Revenue, not so much. It's a little harder. I don't take a lot of those cases because I don't want to take money from you if I can't help you, right? It doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do you any good for me to, hey, take your money. Oh, you have this problem? Give me your money. And then I can't help you because the Illinois Department of Revenue won't let me help you, right? They don't want, they're not really trying to solve your problem. But again, sometimes we do take these cases because people are having a hard time. I usually tell people, go try to do it yourself, and if you're having trouble, then I'll get in. Then I'll get involved. But it's really got to be a real hard problem before I'll get involved because again, I don't want to take your money if I can't help you. And in this case, I gave him just that advice, and I gave him some advice about how they can go about trying to solve the problem. At the last minute, she was going to.
So they can't.
She went back. She called me again, and then she said, "We're coming in, Mr. Leahy. We want to come in and hire you." And then I said, "Well, why don't you one more thing? Go call talk to the mortgage company, see if they'll accept some other documents that you have to show that that's not your debt." And so that's where we are now. So I give them advice. I didn't charge them. I didn't,
So, but you're taking care of people, and it's not about making. It's not about making money. It's not about making the almighty dollar. You're helping people, and you're giving them the right advice to push them down the path. Be like, hey, listen, if you need me, I'm here for you, and you can hire me. But let's just work. Listen, just do this.
So I had someone that called me yesterday. They owed $16,000 to the IRS, and I had to tell them the same thing. You don't want to hire me if you owe $16,000. You could call the IRS, and they'll do a streamlined plan for you, and so try to do that first before you hire me, because there's not too much I can do to help you. And again,
it's going to end up costing an attorney fee.
That's right. And so you're better off to use it to pay.
But if you do have an IRS problem, regardless of what it is, give Attorney Stephen Leahy a call.
And I'll give you the right advice.
He'll give you the right advice.
Sometimes people say, hey, Attorney Leahy, I don't want to deal with it. I want to pay you to do it. And then I'll do it for you. I won't turn it down. I want to help you, but I don't want to charge you for something that then have you get angry because you feel like
right before you're going to close on a home and all of a sudden,
I know.
Bam.
And then it's like, I needed this yesterday. It's like real hard to deal with the Illinois Department of Revenue or the IRS when things had to be done
and that's
yesterday.
So scary. And that's so scary. And that's how they get you, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you use that big C word. It's a big C, compliance. Always compliance.
That's good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, remember.
Very good, Jim.
You don't think I listen to the segment?
The big C word isn't for cookie?
It is for me.
That's good. That's good enough for me. Anyway,
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Remember, Open Tax Resolutions there for you. 312-664-6649 to visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. If you have any questions for Attorney Stephen Leahy, or if you're just looking to get in touch with him, give them a call. 312 712-664-6649. Go to watchtalkradio.com. We're going to be able to watch our live stream of both the Trust Radio Network and the IRS Radio Hour and listen to our sponsors and come right back here on AM 560.
The Answer.